The theme for this conference and exhibition is towards a competitive and sustainable world-class livestock sector. This theme is responsive to the global concern, even anxiety, about how the world will feed itself by the time population stabilizes at over 10 billion people.
The Africa Livestock Conference and Exhibition is thus an important platform for livestock farmers in this region to share and learn about developments in the sector, access information on technologies available, have business-to-business meetings with various value chain actors, and chart the way forward with respect to favorable policies and programs to grow this sector.
Sir, it's now my singular honor to invite you to officially open the conference.
It is my pleasure to join you this morning to officially open the African Livestock International Conference and Exhibition themed towards a competitive and sustainable world-class sector. The theme embodies what we as a country plan to realize in the agriculture and livestock sector, that is farming as a business which involves competitiveness, sustainability, increase in regional and global trade. And let me declare this conference officially open, yes. And I wish you the best of luck.
We want to give visibility to the livestock sector. I think for many years and many times our governments never give space to livestock. We have seen it in the continental policy framework called the African Agriculture Development Program, where livestock actually came as an afterthought.
The costs and standards of compliance are very high, so should this all be borne by the farmer? I think that's a key question that we also need to debate, especially when they do provide a public good in terms of food safety in the value chain. Should they bear the whole cost?
Livestock as a sector has been neglected by the government. That is a hindrance. Because once you are not, the government doesn't prioritize your sector, then it becomes a challenge to advance and also to implement some of the policy interventions which may be there.
The future of Africa is in the private sector. It will be, if private sector is allowed to flourish and thrive and fail when it needs to fail, then the future of Kenya is assured. And for me, this is a great example, a great stimulus to the proper working, finding the right place for the private sector and allowing it to take its rightful place in the whole livestock industry and allowing it to show what it can deliver to the farmers who need the products.
A lot of what's being addressed at Alice essentially does focus right back on that key person, the farmer. What issues that farmer has, what areas will essentially allow that farmer to be more productive, allow his business or her business to be more sustainable, and allow them to actually integrate into the supply chain.
Marketing is a challenge, and more so in the poultry sector. Actually, when the association was forming, the main issue was marketing, followed by input supply, the quality actually of the inputs. So when we talk about market, we find the poultry sector is the market is controlled by middlemen. I think it's the only sector where the producer has no say as to what prices they are going to tag on their products. You find somebody else comes to tell you, we are buying a tray of eggs for this much, or we are buying a kilo of meat for this much. And that has been very frustrating. And the reason is because we are dealing with perishables. We are dealing with meat, which is perishable. We are dealing with eggs, which are perishable. And you'll find the brokers know this, or the middlemen and women know this, and they tend to exploit that vulnerability.
It's also important that farmers also try to understand their role in the livestock value chain. In Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, we have a new strategic plan or rather strategic framework, running until from 2012 to 2020. And our focus is commercialization through development of farmer enterprises. And we are saying that farmers need to understand the value chains that they work in. They need to strategize how they will be key actors along that value chain. We know, and we've visited regions and countries where farmers are actually involved at every level of the value chain.
There is a widely held perception that there is so much research out there that does not get into development use, and that is probably true. It must be said, however, that a great amount of it already does get into use. So how to make sure that what we're doing and the good evidence we find in research get into use has been a very difficult challenge.
Partnerships are the basis on which we operate and the basis on which we succeed. We really own nothing in the continuum. So a good example is the East Coast fever vaccine that we have on the market. Looking at the partners we have in that, we have technology which came originally from Kari in Nairobi. It's been manufactured most recently by Ilri, also based in Nairobi. We're in the process of transferring and upscaling the manufacturing through some capacity building that we're doing in Malawi to the Center for Ticks and Tick-borne Diseases. We then work with a number of distributors, including organizations such as SIDAI, who are getting the products out from the central warehouse to the end users.
In the past, our partnerships were mostly research partnerships. Now, as many of our partners are development partners, so that we are in close contact with the development partners. And these range from the multilateral system, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, IFAD, but also the NGO, the National Extension Services.
It's a shame that many African countries are still importing livestock and livestock products from outside, from Brazil, from Europe, from Argentina. And yet we have a huge livestock population in this country. Ethiopia alone, in terms of cattle, they have 51 million head of cattle. And they could export these cattle to West Africa, who have very, very few livestock populations indeed. But they don't, because of one, infrastructure, two, local trade tariffs, and three, there is no arrangement for this type of market.
The response to these many challenges has always been inadequate, mainly due to the lack of governance frameworks.
We develop very good policies. We actually develop the frameworks very well, but the hugest challenge is always implementation, and that reflects a lot, especially at the national level, where we have good policies, and they're just sitting in the ministries.
This general framework has to be domesticated in many ways. One way is generating local policies that will be aligned to the traditions and customs and cultures of the places, for people to understand, and for also bringing in legislation that are friendly to the people, and at the same time bringing in the policy framework that is generally accepted, so that the policy framework from the continent and the East African region is only a guide that every country will work within it.
The livestock sector in Kenya is large and complex, as it involves both public and private sector players.
The implementation may be different, but the intention is one. So it is a matter of every country domesticating it and ensuring that it is bought by the people who are going to benefit from. And that is what we are going to do. We are doing legislation, we are doing policy issues, we are training people down there, and we are aligning them to the continental policies that have been put in place.
Pastoralism should be considered as a great contributor to economic development on the continent. We do know that in some countries, the pastoral areas are considered as low potential areas. Those areas that are, someone would say, if they are removed from the map.
Pastoralism is there to stay, and we must nurture it. Pastoralists know how to look after the environment. They have lived there, and you've never seen where pastures are, erosion of the grounds and overgrowth. No, they know how to move. They eat here, they finish here, and they move on.
We have to take efforts to restock those areas, to have the pastoralists to restock. It's a question of having a resource in terms of how these cows, the bulls and the cows that our traditional pastoralists keep, that is able to browse, it is able to graze some grass, it's able to walk long distances and collect this grass and produce meat out of it or milk out of it. If you take the few ranges which are having crossbreds, the kind of contribution in meat, for example, is less than 2%, probably even 1%. What we call meat, which is consumed in the region, actually comes from the pastoralist communities.
We always have to remind ourselves of the fundamental question, which is who is our client? Who are we actually here for? And the answer to that is always the farmer. So we need to ensure that we provide access of animal health solutions down to the farmer, so that essentially we can improve production and make them and their businesses, their farms, more profitable.
I think government needs to play a huge role with respect to development of this sector. And they have to play this role by ensuring that they provide a conducive policy environment for private sector to invest, for farmers to actually invest. Governments need to support institutions that support farmers. These institutions are important to farmers because they're the ones that do research, they actually engage with the farmers, they actually support farmers who are still at the tail end of value chains. So these institutions need to be supported, they need to be given sufficient funding by government because they'll actually be very instrumental in transforming small-scale agriculture into viable and sustainable form of agriculture.